Hello everybody, once again, this is Jeff Adams from the Icebox Radio Theater and Icebox University, bringing you another short film with information on how you too can become a radio drama producer. And this film is part one of two of the subject, of radio drama script formats. Now, in radio drama or in audio theater currently, we're not very strict on script formatting. I know there's a lot of options out there. Celtics, for example, has one particular format that's available. That's a program, incidentally, an online program called Celtics. And the Final Draft software also has a radio drama version. Our version was developed over time and somewhat organically with the help of our actors. We started out with an old-time radio script format that we learned of in this particular book right here, which is called The Complete Book of Script Writing by J. Michael Straczynski. You definitely want to pick this up if you can. There's a few copies available on eBay most often, and I think some in Amazon as well, and it's a great little book because it covers all different kinds of dramatic writing: screenplays, stage plays, television, and indeed radio, with some information on script format and a little bit about how to write in each discipline, as well as some market info as well. That's probably not really up to date because this book was from the 90s, but still, definitely a good book to pick up. Straczynski started us off down the road of radio script formats by telling us how the old-time radio script format and what its purpose was. And we started off with that, and rather than sitting here listening to me talk much longer, I think we should switch over to the page view and take a look at that particular format and what it looks like right away. Briefly, for the purpose of this video, and also for the next video, which is going to deal with macros, we'll be doing everything in OpenOffice for Mac. OpenOffice, of course, is free, it's cross-platform, and it attempts to imitate Word whenever possible. So it's basically the best, I think, best word processor for the money, which is nothing, going right now today. So hopefully you will find this information valuable if you're using Microsoft Word or OpenOffice. If you do have any questions, home@Icebox Radio is, of course, the email address. I'll leave that in the comments. Let's switch over now to the screen view and take a look at the Icebox Radio Theater's radio drama script format. Okay, here we go. Here is the OpenOffice script format text document, and this is for OpenOffice for Mac. And I'm just going to begin with, go over a little bit of the geography of the page and a little bit why it looks the way it does. And then later on in this video, I will teach you how to make a template so that you can use this format whenever you do your writing for radio drama. Let's take a look at the page. And starting just from top to bottom, we do like to include a header up here with the name of the script and also the author's name. The header should also include a page number, flush right. Here's the title of the show. The Cabin of Frozen Mystery. This was a workshop show that I did, kind of a kid's serial that was pretty brief. You'll notice this is Icebox Radio Workshop as opposed to Icebox Radio Theater. Author's name down here. And let's then talk about the element, the basic element of a radio drama script format, and that is, of course, dialogue. Now, dialogue in stage plays and screenplays is done differently than in radio. In radio, we like to have the character's name, flush left, all caps, then this nice space, and then the dialogue that the character says in this tight little block in the center of the page. If you come up here in OpenOffice, well, here what I'll do is I'll click in the middle of a dialogue block right there. And if you look up here at the top, these are your margin indicators. The little arrow that points down, that's the first line indicator. This is actually where the left margin is. So whatever you type in that particular setup, the left margin is going to be at 1.5 inches, and the right margin is going to be way in at 5 inches or 2 inches in from the right-hand margin. Why do we do this? Well, originally we did this because the old-time radio script format had this large right-hand margin because it brought the pages closer to 1 minute per page. That was very important in old-time radio because there was a lot of shows that were done live, especially in the 30s, and although a lot of what survived was, in recordings I mean, was very, very impressively rehearsed and had professional actors. There was a whole lot of shows that were like kids' serials and soap operas and whatnot, where the actors might not even take much of a rehearsal before they went live on air. So they had to know that if they had 15 pages of script in their hand, that was going to be 15 minutes, and that's why we kind of developed these margins. We have altered it slightly at the IBRT. I think the original script format, from what I've seen, was always double-spaced. I just found that single-spaced with a space between each line of dialogue seemed to do a nicer job of timing closer to 1 minute a page. We don't really need to time close to a minute a page anymore, of course, because very few of us are broadcasting live, except on the internet where timing doesn't matter so much. But it was a nice format to have. Plus, another little benefit that we discovered is that by leaving this right margin here, you create this giant block of white space for the actors to take notes, to make little changes along the way in rehearsal, to make markup things, to doodle, whatever. It's just nice having this white margin there. Okay, so that's dialogue. The other two elements in a radio script, of course, are sound effects and music. And one change that we did make to our script format from the old-time radio script is we started putting the sound effect. This is a sound cue here, sound, suspenseful theme music, and then down and under. And what we did is actually put them not only all caps, which was the way it was generally done back in the day, but also bold and underlined. You can't really tell they're underlined very well. See these gray lines over here? Those actually don't print. Those are just formatting lines. And I will, when I get into macros, I'll teach you how to, oh goodness, running out of reserve battery power, so I'll make this quick. I'll teach you how to actually do a sound cue. But one thing I want to mention are sound cues. Let's see, do we have a long one? I don't believe we do. I'll go ahead and click in the middle of a sound cue, and you can see sound cues we do margins, flush left, and flush right. In other words, we don't have those indentations that we did before. Sound in music is this way for a couple of reasons. One, it's a good rule to have with your script. It's good to be able to tell your actors, okay, if anything's in all caps, don't read it out loud. Very important if you're using, say, community theater actors and it's a live show. Panic can do very interesting things to the human brain. And you want to keep things as simple as possible. A very simple rule is, hey, if it's in all caps, don't read it out loud. It's not dialogue. So that's one reason we do all caps. But one thing I discovered was when we did them both bold and underlined, it had this really nice way. Where's another cue here? Here we go. Had this nice way of breaking up the page. You know, when you're dealing with an actor who's maybe panicked because things didn't go as expected, it can be really, really terrifying to drop a piece of paper or to look down at the page and realize you're a page behind. And any visual cue that will help them catch up is a tremendous help. And having these big black lines in the middle of the page is actually a wonderful visual. Here, I'm going to shrink down the page just a little bit so you can see a whole page. Yeah, there we go. It is a wonderful way to be able to find your place if you are suddenly lost and there's an audience there staring at you. Ooh, I didn't even know I could do that. And there's an audience there staring at you. So here's kind of what the page looks like in more of one page mode. And that's pretty much the geography of our radio script format. One other thing I did want to mention is line numbering. You'll notice that we use the line numbering where the number restarts on each page. So in other words, you can set it in OpenOffice so that the line numbering just continues indefinitely. I like it where it restarts on every page. And this was actually a really good day when I discovered line numbering. In fact, I bought Microsoft Word a couple of times because it was the only format that I had access to, that I could find anyway, with line numbering. Why is line numbering such a big deal? Line numbering is a big deal to me because I think it has saved me several hours of my life in rehearsal. You get into rehearsal, I can't tell you why, but the actors I were dealing with, if I told, let's say I wanted to go to Pat's line here that starts meh, I would say, okay, let's go to Pat's line in the center of the page. And there would be this long, quiet period when people are staring at their pages. And I'll say, okay, the one that starts meh, I just don't believe that stuff. And there's still this long, quiet period where people are trying to find exactly what I'm talking about, exactly which part in the script that we're going to start at. And then I discovered line numbering, and now I just say, okay, let's go to page 1, line 26. And within about 5 seconds, everyone's there. It's a small thing, it's easy to add, and man, does it ever save time. So that's a basic look at the geography of the Icebox Radio Theater script. Dialogue, character all caps, flush left. The dialogue block is kind of in the center between 1.5 and 5 inches. And you want a header with page numbers, and you want all sound effects cues and music cues to have underlined all caps and in black, and basically it's a single spaced format with one space between the blocks of dialogue and the various elements. Okay, now we're going to break out and I'm going to teach you how to make a template for this format.